We're building up from what we know about prepositional phrases in sentences and learning about the 4 sentence patterns. And we use these 4 sentence patterns as the basis of any sentence. We could have prepositional phrases added at the beginning, middle, and end. We'll be talking about dependent clauses. We can add adjectives and adverbs, but most sentences build around these 4 sentence patterns, and this is what we're going to use to start looking at making sure we are writing complete sentences. So the beginning of this is that we need to make sure we review what the 4 sentence patterns are. One of the things that all sentences are going to have is a subject and a verb. So from that point, we break it down into talking about different complements, words that come after the verb that complete the thought of the verb. So the first complement is called a direct object, and it goes with an action verb. So our sentence starts with a subject, has an action verb, and we ask ourselves the question, whom or what, to find a direct object. If we see a direct object, then the next thing we would look for is an indirect object. It's going to come between your action verb and your direct object, and it answers the question, to whom or for whom. So if my subject was Mrs. Culleton, gave is the action verb. Mrs. Culleton gave what? If I can answer that question, I found my direct object. If I still have some words left over in the middle, I'd say Mrs. Culleton bought candy. To whom or for whom? Mrs. Culleton bought the class candy. And whatever word answers the question to whom tells me my indirect object. Then we have 2 other complements, and those are predicate adjectives and predicate nouns. And those go with linking verbs. And the purpose of a linking verb, just like its name says, is to link. We're linking a word in our predicate back to the subject. So if my subject is Mrs. Culleton, is the linking verb, and I wanted to describe her with an adjective, Mrs. Culleton is short. Although if we wanted to use a positive connotation, we would say Mrs. Culleton is petite. I could also use a noun, but nouns don't describe, they rename. So I need a noun that's going to tell me something that Mrs. Culleton is. Mrs. Culleton is a teacher. So now I have a noun renaming my subject. So as we go through our sentences, we're looking for what's the subject, identifying the verb, identifying what type of verb we have, and then that should direct us towards our complement. If you need further help with this, then you're going to open your notebook to page 6, and that has the flip book that has these 4 sentence patterns, because I'm still seeing a lot of you put subject plus linking verb plus do, and that doesn't work. So make sure you know the difference between these. Alright, so I found some famous quotes that all follow these sentence patterns because famous people speak in these sentence patterns. So we're going to go through our process. We start by looking to see, is there a prepositional phrase? Plato is a bore. I see no prepositional phrases, so then I look for a subject. Who is the sentence about? It's about Plato, so there's my subject. And then I need to find a verb. And since I studied my linking verbs, I can tell right away that is a linking verb. Now I go back to my sentence patterns, and I want to see what follows a linking verb. I'm directed to these 2 sentence patterns. So I want to think, is there a noun after Plato, or is there an adjective that tells me what that describes Plato? Plato is a bore. My clue here is that I have the word a. A indicates that there's a noun. So Plato is a bore is a predicate noun. The next sentence says, we had seen the light at the end of the tunnel. It was out. So I'm going to look first for my prepositional phrases. I see at the end. I see another one, of the tunnel. Make sure you have those separated. Then I'm going to look at my first sentence here. We had seen the light. By getting rid of those prepositional phrases, I've gotten rid of more than half of the sentence. So it should be a little bit easier for me to find the subject and the verb. My subject is about we. And as I get here, I start to see that we have a little bit of a problem because I see two different verbs. I remember studying had as a helping verb, and then I see another verb, seen. I know that see is a verb. So when we see something like this, we studied our verbs as helping verbs because they're helping another verb along. So the entire verb phrase here goes together. We had seen is the verb. It is an action verb because we used our eyeballs and we actually saw what? We had seen what? We had seen the light. Since I have an action verb, I know I'm not looking for a predicate noun or an adjective. Action verbs go with direct objects. We had seen the light. And it doesn't look like there are any other words there. I've got an adjective that describes the light, but there's not going to be another word that's going to be an indirect object. And then I have another sentence at the end. It was out. So my subject is it. My linking verb is was, and I know that right away because I studied my linking verbs and I have them memorized for that very reason. It was out. If I look back to my sentence patterns, I know that after a linking verb, I can have a predicate adjective or a predicate noun. So I have the word out. I'm not really sure if that's an adjective or a noun. So one of our quick checks, we can put the word the in front of it. The out. It was the out. And that doesn't make sense. So that must be an adjective. It's describing that light. It was out. The next sentence, I hate definitions. I bet you guys think that when we're working on vocabulary sometimes. I don't see any prepositional phrases, so I look for my subject. Who is it about? I. What do I do? What's my verb? Hate. I know that's not a linking verb. That's an action. I hate. After an action verb, I look for a direct object. I hate what? I hate definitions. There's my direct object. Okay, now you try it. Man is a god in ruins. The first thing I'm going to do is get rid of my prepositional phrase. In ruins. Then I'm going to look to see what my subject is. Man is the subject. I see right away my linking verb is because I memorized those. Am, is, are, was, were. Man is a god. I see the a there. That tells me I have a noun. I know it's not a direct object because direct objects go with action verbs, so this has to be a predicate noun. Alright, number 5. A closed mouth gathers no feet. Words of the wise. Okay, I want you to take a second and try it on your own. A closed mouth gathers no feet. What's the subject? The sentence is about a mouth. And I see a couple of modifiers up here. I'm not going to be very good with my arrow here with my mouse. Oops. But I've got 2 modifiers. What kind of a mouth is it? A closed mouth. And what does the mouth do? It gathers. That's definitely not a linking verb. I didn't memorize am, is, are, was, were, gathers. So that's got to be an action verb. Mouth gathers. If I have an action verb, I'm looking for a direct object. Subject plus action verb plus do. A mouth gathers what? A mouth gathers feet. There's my direct object. The best safety device is a rear view mirror with a cop in it. So true. Take a second right now, and I want you to try and figure it out. The prepositional phrase, I see 2, in it and with a cup. Now I go to look for my subject. What's the sentence about? A lot of words up here, so I have to really think about what word tells me the subject of the sentence. I know safety isn't a noun. There's no such thing as a safety, but there is a device. So my subject is device. Is my linking verb, and is in orange here because there's a little typo on your paper that you need to fill in. So you're probably going to have a hard time finding is. Go ahead and write it in right now. Is. And that is a linking verb. The device is, since I have a linking verb, I'm looking for either a predicate adjective or a predicate noun, and I have a noun. The device is a mirror. Now I want to go back and try to label my adjectives. Any words that describe the device. What kind of device is it? A safety device. The best device. The device. Any words that describe the mirror. What kind of mirror is it? A rear view. Oops. Mirror. A mirror. This book fills a much needed gap. I don't see any prepositional phrases there, so now I'm going to look for my subject. Book is a subject. What does the book do? It fills. Fills is an action verb. Fills what? Subject plus action verb plus do. The book fills a gap. And then I'm going to go through and label some of my modifiers. What kind of gap is it? A much needed gap and a gap. And then I've got a modifier for book. Which book is it? This book. You have curly and orange hair. You're going to need to add a little y at the end of your word. Another little typo there. A child is a curly, dimpled lunatic. I love this. Ralph Waldo Emerson must not have liked children very much. Alright, I don't see any prepositional phrases there. So, my subject, what's the sentence talking about? Ralph Waldo Emerson is talking about a child. A child, I look for my verb, I recognize it right away. There's the linking verb, is. Child is looking for either a predicate adjective or a noun. I see a couple of adjectives here. I see curly and I see dimpled. Those are adjectives, but they're not describing the child, so they can't be predicate adjectives. If I looked at what they were describing, dimpled describes lunatic, and curly describes that lunatic as well. So I must have, a predicate noun, because the predicate noun is going back and renaming what that child is. A child is a lunatic. I have never liked working. To me, a job is an invasion of privacy. I don't think anybody likes working. So let's see here. I see a prepositional phrase. To me. Oh, and I see another one. Of privacy. So I have two sentences. I'm going to go back to that first sentence. I have never liked working. What's my sentence about? It's about I. Now I'm getting into that confusion again because I see a couple of different verbs. I see have, that was a helping verb that we had to memorize, and I see the verb liked. And I'm a little confused because they're split by this word never, and I know that never was not one of the words that I studied on my list, and I don't think you can never. So my verb phrase here is actually have liked. And we haven't spent too much time talking about these, but this word here, never, is an adverb. It's describing when I liked it, never. So I have never liked what? I have never liked working is my do. Subject plus action verb plus do. And then our last sentence for right now, a job is an invasion of privacy. Subject is job. Looking for my verb, I see it right away. It's a linking verb, is. Now I know I need either a predicate adjective or a predicate noun. So I'm looking for a word that describes the job or that tells me what the job is. And my clue again right here is I've got an invasion. That's a noun. It's got an article in front of it. A job is an invasion. Alright, at this point, you're going to try the next ones and I'm going to grade them. So I want you to take your time. Make sure you take the time to label them on your paper before you enter your answers into Edpuzzle, because these ones I'm going to take a grade on.